Friday Eve, or the Thursday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Second day of May, just as nice, if not nicer, than the first day of the month. You break out the thesaurus to find the right words to describe our weather. Picture perfect out there this afternoon with dew points on the low side and temperatures getting up into the upper 70s to around 80 in most spots. But it was not as hot as this date back in 1942. We're highlighting this because this 92-degree reading back on May the 2nd, 1942, the earliest 90-degree temperature of the season on record for our area. I forgot to remove the snowflake icon right there. That's not really appropriate for a 92-degree temperature. But yeah, this easily beats out the second earliest 90-degree temperature on record for our area, which I think is more towards mid-May. So really unusual heat back in early May of 1942. At the airport today in 2024 on May the 2nd, we did 79 this afternoon. 67 is the record. 51 this morning, not quite as cool as yesterday morning. Our average is still 44. So, it's early May. It's supposed to be kind of cool in the mornings at this time of the year, but we're not going to have very many chilly mornings in the next week or so. Sometimes I like to break out this graphic at this time of the year and also in late August and into September. It's my when is a nice day season graphic, and I define a nice day as no rain and with high temperatures between 65 and 80. The biggest spike in those kinds of days occurs as we get into late August and especially into early to mid-September. But there's a springtime spike that occurs May, early June, but you'll notice this kind of uptick right at the end of April and start of May, so it's not unusual for there to be a surge of pretty nice days at the very end of April and the first half of May, like we've seen over the last couple of days. All right, on this second evening of the month, we actually have a couple of thunder showers impacting northwest Ohio and some of the northern suburbs of Columbus this evening. These will not impact our local area, but this is with a little bit of a subtle warm front lifting off to the north. It's more of a dew point boundary. Dew points are a little higher down here than the bone-dry air mass we have overhead in northeast Ohio and western PA. Whereas tonight's severe weather risk, well, it's mostly across Texas. Although we've had a couple of warnings on some of these storms in Indiana, Illinois, and back towards Missouri, but there's a severe thunderstorm watch in the great state of Texas this evening, and even an active tornado warning. And it's been a really active couple of weeks for severe weather across the lower 48 states, especially in the plain states. And so here's all the tornadoes this year through today's date. And Ohio, of course, has been a hotbed, although it's been quieter the last couple of weeks. But all this activity, or much of this activity out in this corridor, has occurred just in the last few weeks. And that's no big surprise. This is Tornado Alley, after all. To have a lot of tornadic activity in mid to late spring is certainly nothing new for them. All right, our rainfall amounts, the expectations have lowered somewhat for our upcoming unsettled period starting Friday afternoon, taking us into the weekend. Now, the European model through Sunday morning is easily the leader in the clubhouse here with up to 2 inches worth of rain advertised on that model. That's a little bit of an outlier. Most of our modeling is now under a half an inch worth of rain. This remains a little bit of a tough forecast, and it's kind of unfortunate because it's a weekend in May. It's a high stakes forecast. A lot of people have outdoor plans on the weekend at this time of the year. Some of our modeling on Saturday is fairly dry for much of the day, including the NAM model. Notice the line really doesn't go up here. This is the NAM model right here. It is an outlier, though. I'm not ready to buy its idea of just a dry Saturday, but that's taken literally what that particular model is advertising, but most of our other modeling suggests that we have a damp Saturday coming up. And the first thing we'll see is Friday afternoon, some scattered showers, and there could even be a thunderstorm in the mix as well. And as we've been talking about this week, this front's going to stall out Friday night into Saturday, becoming a stationary boundary. And I kind of like the way this model depiction has things Saturday morning. I do think there will be some light rain around, despite some of the drier model ideas that are out there, including on the NAM. I think this is a little more realistic with this front nearby. Now, this front's in the process of kind of washing out. It's not much of a front by this point. So the focus or the trigger for precipitation will be kind of lacking as we go throughout the day Saturday, with this front really becoming more and more of just a non-entity. But with a moist air mass overhead, it's not going to take much to squeeze out a little bit of rain on Saturday. So if you have outdoor plans this weekend, my advice to you would be make alternate plans for Saturday if your plans involve being outside on Saturday, because while I don't think it rains all day, a little bit of rain can probably occur at just about any point. And if you have outdoor plans on Sunday, the best part of the weekend may be right around midday on Sunday, because This rain is likely to be pushing to the east, and this feature hasn't quite pushed in yet. So mid to late morning Sunday may be the best part of the whole weekend, because Sunday afternoon, rain chances may increase once again as that front approaches from the north and west. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a hail-producing or grapple-producing thunderstorm before the afternoon is through on Sunday. So 68 on Saturday, that sounds kind of cool, right? Of course, that's about average for this time of the year, but it's been so warm of late. This will be a noticeably cooler day Saturday. We'll bounce back into the 70s on Sunday. I do think there can be some intervals of sunshine on Sunday, but hit or miss, scattered showers and storms will try to return, especially as we get into the afternoon on Sunday. Unsettled period coming up next week. A warm period taking us through the end of next week, so about a week from right now. We should be on the verge of a cooler pattern change, but for the next 6, 7, 8 days, it looks pretty warm. That being said, we're going to have several chances of wet weather next week, including perhaps some thunderstorm chances from time to time, starting Monday afternoon and taking us all the way through, perhaps all the way through Thursday and Friday. Any washouts in that stretch? I doubt it at this point, but we're going to have several features in the flow coming across. It's a pretty fast-moving, progressive flow at the jet stream level across the lower 48 states. So that's going to keep things, I think, kind of unsettled for much of next week. I do think the middle of the month will be cooler and drier. I mentioned on Facebook earlier today my summer outlook will come out later this month, maybe next week, maybe the week after that. Not sure yet. We don't make as big of a deal about our summer outlooks as we do our winter forecast. But I did, throw on Facebook today, and I've mentioned this from time to time on Weather Geeks lately, that I do think it's going to be a pretty hot summer. Perhaps our hottest summer since at least 2020, and perhaps even beyond that. But at the very least, I think we'll have a much hotter summer than the last 2 years. Especially last year was not particularly hot at all. I do think this summer will have a different flavor. So look for that seasonal forecast later this month on all my outlets, social media, YouTube, Weather for Weather Geeks, my weather blog, etc., etc. In the meantime, thanks for watching tonight. We'll have an updated forecast for Friday night, the weekend, and more coming up. Same time, same place on Friday.